what I have in my hands today are the Moondrop Aria, which are currently my favorite IEMs for music and gaming. Let's talk about it. Now, as a disclaimer, nobody sent this to me. I actually bought these myself because I actually really wanted them. Another disclaimer, this is going to be more of a gaming review than a audiophile review. So if you're looking for audiophile reviews, you came to the wrong place. I will touch on audiophile stuff because that's very important when it comes to gaming, but this is mostly focused on how those will affect the IEM and affect me, I guess, in terms of its use in games. That's it, let's get started. Now, the Moondrop Aria box comes with its own waifu. Anyway, inside their fancy box, you're gonna get the IEMs, of course, a carrying case, some ear tips, a cable. You also get a set of tweezers in case you gotta replace those grills on your IEMs, like say they get gunked up or something like that. Therefore, you get a few sets of extra grills, and of course, a lot of paper. Now, the IEMs themselves have an all-metal housing, which are mostly matte black aside from the pattern design here, which is kind of like a goldish color, which is used again on the side to denote the model. And if we keep rolling around the sides, we'll find that the IEMs use the standard 2-pin connectors for IEMs. Moving to the inner side of the body, on each IEM, there are 2 vents for the drivers. Here, we can also see that the nozzles are completely made of metal along with their metal grills. Now, as for the cable, it's okay. It's nice and braided and all, but it does get tangled. The ear hooks are pre-curved and will reflex back into place, which is kind of standard for IEMs these days. Because it was built with audiophiles in mind, there is no inline mic, so you're gonna have to get a different cable if you want a mic. On the bright side, at the splitter, which is also made of metal, there is a chin slider, which I think every IEM cable should have. Beyond the splitter, the cable is nicely corded and twisted, but it only looks good. In practice, it does get tangled, and the other end can get kinked a little easier than I would have liked. Like, it's by no means a bad cable, but it's not like that great either. That aside, the cable ends in an angled 3.5mm jack, which is also housed in metal. Now, for those worried about how it'll look on your head, here's how it'll look on your head. Now, as for fit, in my slightly larger ears, they're actually pretty good, and the IEMs are kind of largish themselves, but they aren't so large that they stick out from the sides of your heads, which is good. Judging by the extra space around the IEM in my ear while I'm wearing them, I think this IEM will fit most people unless your ears are really, really small. Let's talk about sound. These are amazing. They sound, oh man, I was not expecting them to be this good, especially at their price of $80, which is significantly cheaper than the Moondrop Starfields, which the price is right there. I don't remember on top of my head. I just know they cost more. And I haven't used the Starfields myself. I probably should at some point just to compare, but supposedly they sound similar, and that's a really good thing because the Starfields sound really good. All right, now let's talk about the sound of this guy. So when it comes to the sound signature, it's a little warm. By a little warm, I mean like take a balanced sound and give it just a little warmth. Not a lot of warmth like on the Blonde BL03s where you get tons of bass and tons of treble and a little bit of a recession of the mids. I'm just like, add some more bass, add some more treble. That way you take this neutral sound and you make it more enjoyable, musical, palatable, just great for basically anybody, whether you're an audiophile or just, you know, I don't know about bass head, like maybe a bass head who doesn't want their skull rattled and fatigued, if you know what I mean. Like you still get bass, but let me elaborate a little bit. So the bass itself is good. You get a pretty deep amount of range in the bass. It goes pretty low. And when it comes to how the bass hits, it's got a pretty good punch and a pretty good, like, I wouldn't say it's very boomy. I would say it's got a good amount of force in its punch, but not an intense amount where it's very overwhelming, so it doesn't bleed into the mids. The mids themselves are very nice, clean, clear, crisp, really, really good, and especially in games, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And that is enhanced by the highs, which are also super clean and clear. When it comes to the soundstage of these guys, for an IEM, it's actually pretty sizable. It is larger than most IEMs I've usually listened to, and I do greatly enjoy that because while, you know, as an IEM, it's typically a smaller soundstage, I do like that it's a little bit bigger, but not like crazy big. So then I do find myself using this in gaming a lot. It just does a really good job in games. Which then brings us to imaging, which is pretty good, though I wouldn't say it's like super mega pinpoint accurate, though it is still fairly accurate, especially in the world of games. I had no trouble tracking people down, whether they were in front of me, beside me, or above me. The Aria soundstage was just right for games, being not too big where it would become difficult to track people ahead of time who are far away, and not too small where I was just overly paranoid because all the sounds were too close to me. The sound signature and overall clarity of sound made it very easy to track explosions, gunshots, and footsteps, but also still made it easy for me to hear the voices of my teammates over comms, as the clarity in the mids was just on point. The bass in-game was also great, being very clean and punchy, keeping the game sounds very engaging and fun. Now, when compared to the Blonde BL03, which I usually recommend for gaming, the Aria has significantly more clarity and is way cleaner in sound. The The overall sound is more balanced in all the right ways while still giving you that bassy warmth, making this a great IEM to get or upgrade to if you like the Blonde BL-03s. All in all, for gaming, these are a really good set, especially for like $80, which I understand for like, you know, other gaming earbuds you'll see out there, it's a lot of money, but I do think it's worth the price because of how great they sound. And they won't just do good in just games. They are good all around, whether you listen to like music, you're watching movies, and you're playing games. I ran out of examples. I don't know, listen to podcasts. Overall, whatever you throw at these guys, it's gonna sound great, and I don't think you're gonna regret it, unless like maybe you wanted the cable to come with a little microphone, which case it did not. Oh, this is not the cable it came with, by the way. This is a cable I bought separately because I didn't like the cable it came with. It just kind of tangled easily. This one, it's a one aftermarket one you can find on Amazon. Forgot which one it was, but I like it. It's good. Cables are always replaceable, but you know that's beside the point. You can always find different cables. Just make sure they're like 2-pin ones. So yeah. Other than that, don't got much else to say. Arias, really great pair for basically everything, especially good for gaming. Blows things like the Blonde BL-03s out the water completely. And that makes sense because the Blondes are much cheaper. That being said, if you were going to buy the Blondes, but you have the money to go for the Arias, skip the Blondes, go straight for the Arias. You will not regret it. And that's basically all I have for today, guys. So, if this video did help you at all, do leave me a like, because that'll help me in this whole algorithm space. Also, leave a comment. That also helps in this algorithm space. Also, now then, with that being said, subscribe for more content if you want to see more from this place here. Hit the notification bell so you know when I'm posting next, essentially. I also have like this whole streaming bit. Not sure what I'm doing with it, whether it's going to be Twitch or YouTube. Either way, link is going to be down in the description in case you're interested in watching me die, but in games. Well, that's enough rambling for me, so I'll see you guys next time.